Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really cool idea from educator Robert Martínez, who suggests we think about our professional growth as a kind of, a digital quest. Now, as English language teachers, you and I both know how absolutely overwhelming the world of digital tools can get. So the big question is, where do we even begin?
Just take a second to think about that. You've got all these apps, these platforms, new tech popping up all the time. It's a real challenge, right? It's tough to figure out where we should focus our energy for professional development. How do you find a clear path through all that digital noise?
So here's how we're going to find our way. This is our plan for today's explainer. First, we're going to unveil the map for our quest. Then we'll explore its different regions, learn how you can chart your own personal growth, and finally, we'll talk about how to keep that journey going.
Okay, so every great quest needs a great map. And for us, as educators navigating the digital age, that map is something called the DigCompEdu Framework. It's designed to be our guide, giving us a clear structure for what can feel like a super complex landscape.
So what exactly is DigCompEdu? Well, it was developed by the European Commission's Joint Research Center, and it's basically a shared framework that gives educators a common language to talk about digital skills. It's not a test or anything like that. Think of it more as a guide to help us develop our skills in a really structured way. And by the way, all the information we're covering is available in the EU Digital Competences for Educators Framework, which you can find in the JRC Publications repository. So here it is, our map. This diagram shows how the framework takes this huge topic of digital competence and breaks it down into smaller, much more manageable parts. You can see it's got different territories and landmarks for us to explore on our journey.
So, why is having a map like this so valuable? Well, for one, it helps guide everything from big national policies all the way down to what you do in your own classroom. It's also super flexible, so it can be adapted for local needs. And maybe, most importantly, it lets teachers from all over share ideas using a common vocabulary. It just makes collaboration so much easier.
All right, now let's zoom in on our map. We're about to explore the 6 main territories, and each one represents a core area of skill for us educators.
But before we dive into those 6 areas, it's really helpful to know that they're all grouped under 3 main domains. The first one is all about our professional skills. The second covers our teaching or pedagogic skills. And the third, and this is so important, focuses on our learners' skills. It's really a complete, holistic view of our role.
And here's a great visual that puts it all together. You can see the 22 specific competences all organized inside those 6 areas. See how it flows? It goes from our own professional skills on the left, moves through our teaching skills in the middle, and ends up with how we foster our learners' competence on the right.
Okay, let's unpack these 6 core areas. First up is professional engagement. This is all about using digital tools to collaborate and get better at what we do. It could be something as simple as joining an online community for English teachers, kind of like the one fostered by Learning Together with Robert. Next is digital resources. This is about finding, creating, and sharing digital content. Think about taking an online video and turning it into a great listening activity. Then we've got teaching and learning and assessment. This is the nitty-gritty of using digital strategies in the classroom. You know, everything from an interactive whiteboard for a grammar lesson to an online quiz for quick feedback. And finally, we have empowering learners and facilitating their digital competence. This is where we shift the focus entirely to our students, giving them tools to personalize their learning and teaching them essential skills like digital citizenship.
So, we have the map. Now, how do we find out where we are on it? This next part is all about the progression model, which is a really supportive way to chart your own personal growth. And remember, it's just a guide, not a judgment.
So this is where I want you to do a little self-reflection. As we walk through these levels, try to think about where you might be right now. What sounds familiar? And even more important, what do you think your very next step could be? The framework lays out 6 proficiency levels, from A1 all the way up to C2. Now, this is not about being good or bad at tech. It's just a natural journey. We all start out as newcomers, just curious about what's possible. Then we become explorers, trying new things. As we get more confident, we become integrators and experts, and some of us even go on to become leaders and pioneers, really shaping what's next in education.
Let's make this a little more concrete. A newcomer, or an A1, is aware of digital tools but hasn't really used them much. An integrator at level B1 is actively experimenting with tools and weaving them into their teaching practice. And then you have a pioneer, a C2, who is questioning the way things are done and creating brand new approaches. You know, this idea of progression really captures the spirit of lifelong learning, which is a big theme on channels like Learning Together with Robert.
Okay, so we've explored the map and we've talked about how to find your place on the path. Now, let's wrap up by talking about how to keep moving forward on this amazing professional quest.
If you take away just one thing today, let it be this. This framework is not a finish line. It's not a destination you have to reach. It's a compass. It's a dynamic, helpful tool to guide you as you confidently navigate your own development path.
And if you want to continue your journey with a whole community of other educators, we'd love for you to subscribe, follow, and visit Robert's YouTube channel. It's called Learning Together with Robert, and it's a fantastic resource for this exact kind of professional growth.
Let's end with this powerful thought. At the end of the day, this whole digital quest, it isn't really about mastering every single tool out there. It's about figuring out how to use these tools to empower every single one of our learners. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.